Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bulk Crew podcast. Dave Pelle, Mario Heron. Again, Josh Pelle is on his honeymoon in Italy right now. He'll be back for the next show on Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Obviously, there's no opening there. I don't know what's going on, but there's a holdup. The story is we got dinged. I don't know why, because we went through all the proper channels, made them a little bit nervous. Either way, it's going to be back. The opening is going to be back. Everybody likes the opening. You guys are so nice when you say great things about it. But it's disappointing for us too. When the opening's not here, kind of big kick right there in the nickels. I'm saying, what the hell? Something's missing a little bit, but doing the best we can. Ready to go. I mean, there's some Chargers stuff to talk about. There's some NFL stuff to always talk about. It's May, which is always funny that we're talking NFL football, and you'd think there's not a lot to talk about, Mario, but there's always something. Actually, this is actually considered a big week. I have a rant that completely just changed from what I was pissed off about 5 minutes ago to now what I'm pissed off about 2 minutes ago that I'll get into later on in the show as well. But it's kind of funny when you look at everything that's going on from the schedule that comes out this week and people get fired up. Like there's not another, I don't think, schedule in sports where you look forward to it that much as you do the NFL. Where actually you prepare and you get a little angry, going, what the hell? How come this team in my division gets this game? How come we're playing two teams in our division or the same team in our division in a 3-week span, which is weird? Or you play one team on week 1, another team on week 17. It's always something to get mad about on why you think you're ripped off about a schedule or something you're excited about. The number one argument usually is, by the way, primetime games. Why don't we get more primetime games? And I can sit there and make the argument before the schedule even comes out why primetime games are bad. Okay. And my argument to that, Mario, is primetime games throw you out of a routine. And what do they always say about athletes? They like to be in a routine, right? It's like, I need to know what time I'm getting up. I need to know what time I'm getting home. I need to know when I'm lifting. I need to know, boom, 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 stay on a routine. That's what they talk about when you go on the road, that you get knocked off of your routine. But if you're playing games on Thursday, or you're playing the Friday game, or you're playing a Christmas game, or whatever it is, your routine is kind of knocked off. That's one reason I'm not a big fan of the Chargers going to Brazil to play a game this year. Like, I'd much rather that they have 9 home games in SoFi Stadium than taking one of those home games and going to Brazil.
I'm not a fan because, and we've talked about this ad nauseum. One, how the Brazil game went last year, right? We had both players of the Packers and Eagles complaining a lot. The field was terrible. The conditions weren't the best. A lot of guys were slipping on the field, worried about injuries. On top of that, the Chargers will be a home team in this matchup versus the Chiefs, so that loses a home game that we would have, especially against our opponent that is the best team in the division that's owned our division the past 4 to 5 years, a team that we haven't been able to get, a win against in quite some time. And now we take away a home field advantage that we've been building. We've said that I believe this past year, it was kind of the first feeling of the Chargers have a home field. That was a running joke, is Chargers never have a home game. Well, this year it kind of felt that, and to take that away against Patrick Mahomes, it's tough, man. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'll be honest with you. At the same time, I love the international games. I think they're fun. I like waking up on Sunday morning and you're just like, oh my God, there's football on. Like, that's good,
Because you're on the East Coast.
You're talking.
That's the way it is on the West Coast every week.
Yeah, it's called privilege. That's what that's almost really cussed. That's what you guys get. Yeah. That's what we don't get. I like to be on the can. And I'm on my phone. I'm on YouTube TV. Shout out to him, waiting for a deal. I like it on the can watching the football. I like, throwing it on the TV and I'm still in my underwear trying to, take enough Tylenol to get this headache to go away because of bad decisions I made from the night before. All right, that's a good time.
So, okay, here we go. So for us, whenever there's a game, and let's say it's in London, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning for us, it's like what it's like for the people who live in Hawaii. Like, man, this thing's really getting going early. And if you have to set your fantasy football rosters, it completely gets you up way early. But I'm all for a routine. And I imagine Jim Harbaugh's a routine guy. And I understand what the NFL's doing. The NFL, as big and popular as it is, and they took major steps even a year ago when they told the NBA, hey, we're going to own Christmas. You thought Christmas was your big day? Not anymore. We own that too. Christmas belongs to the NFL now. Guess what? They're going all over the world. I mean, it expands over and over and over again where they keep putting NFL games. the players have no room for pushback. They can't really push back. I mean, so many guys are just happy to be in the league. The players union has always been terrible, and they're in a situation where the NFL tells you to go play somewhere, you're going to go play somewhere. But it would be one of the reasons why I wouldn't want to be a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who always, have to go to London every year. I'd much rather play in the United States in a situation where my travel's not going to be bad. Okay. So speaking of travel, okay, one of the things that came out, which I thought was interesting, it's miles traveled coming up in the 2025-2026 season. Which team do you think travels the least amount in the NFL this year? Just looking at the map of the United States, like what would you guess?
It's got to be a team in the Midwest. I would argue it's probably Titans.
Okay, that's not a bad call. Okay, Titans are actually in the middle, and it's because obviously they're going further than just their area.
Houston gets you, yeah.
So basically, here's the deal: you're close to the first time you kind of talked about it. It's Cincinnati, the Bengals. Okay, and if you look at the Bengals of the teams they play, like even inside their division, you can kind of drive to everywhere you need to be if you're the Bengals to the games inside your division, right? You can drive to Cleveland, you could drive to Pittsburgh, right? I don't know how long the drive is to Baltimore, but at the same time, it's Cincinnati this year. It's 8,753 miles for them. That's it. Okay, you understand? It's not too bad when you consider you're on the road that much. That being said, which team is the worst? And I always say you could always start with Seattle because Seattle has nowhere close. Seattle travel always stinks, right? There's really nothing close to what the Seahawks have. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know.
Yeah, because map, no.
Okay.
Hey, we passed geometry, not
geography. You do all right with the geography too?
Okay. Yeah, English is the part that we suffered in words, but yeah, because Seattle, you got Arizona, that's not an easy flight. Then Los Angeles is Southern California, you're pretty high up in the Washington State. That can be a little tough go. I'm blanking who else they got. Niners, Cardinals. Who is the other one?
Rams.
Seahawks. Rams. Wait, I said, Niners. Yeah, that's kind of the same. Flirtatious. So that's I can see how I can. And you're in the.
It's an hour.
And you're in the NFC. Yeah.
For you people back east, it's an hour further from San Francisco to LA is an hour flight, hour 15, something like that. Okay, but yeah, it's one of those things where Seattle is always having to go somewhere. Whether you. That's why I would never play for the Mariners. By the way, if I was a baseball player, I wouldn't want to be part of that. It's just there's so much travel in baseball. I wouldn't want to be part of that whole thing. By the way, this show is also available on Twitter for anyone who wants to know. As I just reposted the show, like and subscribe to the show as well. I always forget to tell you guys that. Here's the deal, though. Okay, so when you look at the miles, Cincinnati is the least amount. Seattle this year is number 3. By the way, they're 31,302. Now that sounds crazy, right? That Cincinnati's 8,700, Seattle's 31,300. You want to guess number 2 and number 1 on that list on travel miles?
Los Angeles teams.
Both Los Angeles teams. Okay. The Rams are going to travel 34,832 miles this year. Okay. The Chargers are number 1, have to travel the most miles this season. 37,086 miles are what the Chargers are going to travel this year. 36,000 and 37,086 miles. And that's considering you also have basically 9 home games. And because that one home game in Brazil is what it's going to be. So it's a ton. I mean, that's a huge difference. The 29,000-mile difference from the Chargers to the Bengals. Like, it almost doesn't seem close to being fair. Am I right?
It doesn't. It's stupid. It as a fan, it should make you angry a little bit. But when you kind of look at the opponents, Dave, like almost makes sense. Like, you face the AFC South, the 2 teams you face, the Jaguars and the Titans. Jaguars, I mean, that's a hike. And then AFC East team, you face the Dolphins. That's a hike.
Yep.
And then you have to go all the way to the East Coast and face the Giants. That's another hike. So that the travel and that matters already kind of a lot. And then you have the international game on top of it. Kansas City is not really like the closest place in the world for them as well. So it makes sense that they would kind of be in the top 5. You know what I mean? Like that kind of checks out to me. But to, look at Seattle and say, we'll outdo you. is a tough one. I mean, at least throw us the next Starbucks.
Yeah.
How about we do that little trade off? We get like Starbucks Junior or like Starbuck. Come on now.
So, in case you're wondering, inside the division, because I do think the Chargers are going to win their division this year. I have faith the Chargers are going to be a team that wins the AFC West. I'm going with it. So you go, okay, what about the teams inside the Chargers division? How much travel do they have? The next team on there is the Denver Broncos. They have 23,267 miles they're going to travel this season. Okay. Still, that's a lot less than the Chargers. All right. That's 14,000 less than the Chargers. The next team is the Kansas City Chiefs, 21,695. And the Raiders are 18,055 miles. So the Chargers by far, again, they're number one in the NFL, but by far way ahead of the teams inside their division. And so the way it usually works travel-wise, for people who aren't familiar with NFL travel, it goes by time change on when you decide you're going to leave. Okay, so some teams will leave on a Saturday, even or Friday, I should say, for a Sunday game. Some teams will leave on a Thursday. Well, Tuesday is an automatic day off for teams. Okay. In the NFL, everyone gets Tuesday off. I don't know how it works on Thursday. Okay. By the way, on those Thursday night games, but Tuesday is an automatic day off for the league. That's when there's a 7-day week. There's one day off. You're working 6, and that's where it goes. Monday's usually kind of like you go into the facility, you're getting checked out for injuries, a little bit of film, a game plan set in place on a Wednesday, and you start preparing for your next game. That's usually the NFL calendar and how it goes. But for the Chargers, they're in a situation where they're all over the place this year. So if people wonder, well, how does it work out practice-wise? How do you make up for the time? What they do is in the hotel, they get one of those big ballrooms, and they kind of go through their walkthrough inside the hotel, which is interesting. But it's not, excuse me, it's not regular NFL practices. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, Jim Harbaugh is going to adapt. The players are going to adapt. You have a lot of veterans on this team. You have guys that have been through this process before. It's not a really young team. We're talking about a team, in my opinion, that's not only a playoff team, but a team that can win their division. They've been through this. They're teams like the Eagles, like the Chiefs, like the Ravens, teams that are, have the veteran coach, veteran quarterback that are going to adapt just fine. Now, there are teams that obviously that aren't in those situations, I think would have a really difficult time doing this.
I think it's also just a part of the norm for Los Angeles teams. Like, it's something you kind of just know you're getting yourself into. And as well, in these miles that you travel, the disadvantage that you have is playing a game on the East Coast. That time change is going to get to you a little bit. So it's just part of, the ways of being drafted by a West Coast team. But it is fascinating for like a team like Atlanta to have that many.
Yeah.
That kind of puts you in like a tougher spot, I guess, if you will. But Dave, I get frustrated. I've actually been trying to find the gambling line all damn day of this Chargers-Chiefs game in Brazil because I'm very curious what it's going to open up at and like what it's going to be. They haven't released it anywhere because the NFL hasn't officially said that this is going to happen. But we all know, once there's a league, once there's smoke, there's a fire, and that's obviously going to happen. I get more worried of just playing the Chiefs this early because it just hasn't gone our way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the part I hate. And like, what are we facing the second time? I'm interested in that. Like, is it gonna be one of those where we play him earlier in the year and then we don't see him again until week 17, 16? And then by that time you have your identity, you're a completely different team and you're either trending in an upwards direction or a downwards direction. So curious to see how that's going to play out in terms of that. But is there any everything that's been announced that we know so far, is there anything that excites you right away from the schedules? Or even like this, look at this miles crap on that the NFL did. Which, by the way, shout out to the nerds that put that together. We love you for this.
Yeah. So a couple things, looking at just the Charger standpoint. Look, I understand when you talk about primetime games that people they want the rest of the country to see that their team is this good and it's kind of showing off the team that you love. Like, I understand that whole get together. I also don't like it when my team plays on, let's say, Thursday, because I feel like, what am I going to do on Sunday? Sunday doesn't feel as good anymore.
Yes.
You think it's going to be awesome, and then you're like, nah, Sunday kind of sucked. Also, the same thing, I used to love Monday Night Football when I was a kid because there was Sunday Night Football, believe it or not, Mario. There's no Sunday Night Football when I was growing up. It was only Monday Night Football.
Well, they were still wearing leather helmets when you were growing up.
Oh, you son of a bitch. All right, so no, they weren't. But my point was, on Sunday still, you're kind of sitting around like, my team's not playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
and then you had to wait till Monday. So I'm fine with the Sunday night game with being my team. But yeah, I get kind of when I have to wait, or if it's too early, then it kind of feels like my weekend. Like I like to be involved in the party. Do you understand? If everyone's at the party,
Yes.
I want to be involved at the party. That's how I kind of feel as a fan.
Also, there's nothing worse as a fan when your team's in prime time and your team's not very good. And
Yes.
it's like you've been able to hide in the shadows, but now the light's on you. So now everyone sees how bad your team is. Or like you've been riding really high with this player and like this guy's so good. This QBs are the QB. And then it's Thursday night football and you're playing against like the top defense in the league and you're just getting stomped on and everyone goes, "Oh, your QB sucks." It's like you didn't watch the past 3 other freaking games. You had it on red zone. He's really freaking good. We're just catching him on a really bad day. That's the part where I don't love the primetime games. I'm also, Dave, I'm not a big fan. I would go further. I really do despise the Thursday night football, the Friday, like the Chargers Chiefs when it's gonna be Friday. I hate that. I hate that option because you mentioned it. The guys like the routine, and just going a day later than Monday, I think is kind of fine. And the players mentioned this ad nauseum. Monday Night Football, they're excited. Like that's an excitement. That's like a leisure, if you will, to play in that game. And these guys are on my age. Like Monday Night Football, you always look forward to it. But like Thursday night, it's always just like, who gives a hell? Like seriously.
It doesn't
The
feel
guy
like
that's
some intensity. It doesn't.
No, the guy that's announcing it, they got to like inject Adderall into him the whole damn time so he can stay awake. You know what I'm saying? Like Al Michaels doesn't want. Yeah,
Al
that guy hates his life.
Al Michaels is 82.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he hates his life on that.
He hates Al Michaels is 82 years old right now. Yeah, he doesn't want to be up there late. Here's the deal. The reason the players like Monday, I know we've talked about this in the past. For people who never heard the answer, players like Monday Night Football because they know the rest of the league is watching. No one's working on Tuesday. Those guys are staying up and they get a chance to showcase what they do, their capability in front of everybody else. Going, look, this is who I am. I'm playing on the biggest stage. It's the only stage going right now. And make sure you remember when you vote for the best players in the league that I'm one of them. It gets a chance for those guys to show off. Team sport, but it's a chance for you to show how good you are as an individual to the rest of the league. And they don't care about, guys like you and me who are watching and doing a show. They care about, their peers and showing off to their peers of how good they are. That's why the guys always love the Monday Night Football game. Now, at the same time, when you look at the different schedule that the Chargers have, I'll give you a game that I think is one that you're going to see in prime time for years to come. And it makes sense. It's probably going to be a Thursday game because the travel's easy. It's only a 5-hour drive from LA to Vegas. So the flight's only about an hour. It's the Raiders and the Chargers for the reason is you have the two top running backs that were taken in the same draft of Hampton and Genty to show who won, who's the better running back. And it can go on for years. It's one of those things where you can run this game for 7-8 straight years of who has the better player. And if both guys are stars, it makes it even that much better. If one guy stinks, it's not so good for the guy that's not good. But overall, if you can say, man, I'm watching old school football with the two best running backs in the league that came into the league at the same time, inside the same division, two rivals, it's an easy matchup to make a primetime game every single year.
To your point also, that's two offenses that are going to love to run the football. Pete Carroll loves it. Harbaugh loves it. By the way, those are two coaches that aren't the biggest fans of each other. They have a history going back. Right?
Okay, here's the crazy thing. Kind of pisses me off a little bit. You say that. All of a sudden, those guys are supposed to be friends. Have you seen this?
What do you mean? Okay, we're in May.
Yes.
Let's see how good of friends they are in September.
Did you see the picture? They take that picture where all the coaches take one picture together every year.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll's sitting right between the Harbaugh brothers in the picture. They talk about how close that Carroll is with Jim and John. Like, what the hell is happening here?
No, well, damn it, Dave. Keep your enemies close. Well, no, you keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
You think it was a Harbaugh's idea? They're playing old Pete. Pete doesn't realize he's been played.
Yeah, that's Harbaugh's thing. Harbaugh's probably like saying the weirdest crap to him of all time. He's like, your hair's good, but your hair would look better on the ground and covered in mud. And you know what I mean? He's probably just saying some crazy crap in his ear. And Pete's just like, sounds good. I'm going to go chew on my 20,000th gum today.
That it is kind of crazy. It's so crazy that you wouldn't take a picture next to your brother. Like, the only 32 of these jobs in the world. You're going to sit next to your brother in the picture?
Counter. if this was me in my situation
Yeah.
and that was my brother, we wouldn't be able to sit next to each other because we'd just hit each other, and I would be like, like we'd stand up and I'd ball him, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, that Super Bowl loss, you piece of, you know what?
All right, here we go. Another thing I want to throw at you is a guy we've talked about on the show for a long time. Was hoping the Chargers might make a move for him, just because you always want, great players on your team. All of us, all three of us, even Josh, we're big Trey Hendrickson fans of the Bengals. Okay, he's one of those guys that unless you watch a lot of football, you don't realize how great he is. But you can make the argument he's the best edge rusher in the NFL. Okay, he's really good. He's 30 years old. Him and the Bengals right now can't come to a contract agreement. They are not going to come to an agreement. Hendrickson's going to his last year. According to Adam Schefter, who talked about it, he said there's been no communication that has taken place between the organization and Hendrickson since the draft. No offers have come in, no nothing. The vision that Hendrickson had, that he had being a future Bengal, right now does not look good. He has 1 year remaining. Right now, he has no desire to wear a Bengals uniform. At the same time, you go, what do the Chargers have to offer? Okay. And saying, would the Chargers make this move? Number one, I don't think the Chargers are going to make a move for him. I just don't think Joe Ortiz is going to make the move. The deal is, I think the Bengals would make a trade with the Chargers. I understand they're in the AFC, but they aren't in the same division as the Bengals. Okay. And say, yeah, the Chargers have a lot of cash. Well, they aren't going to trade cash. This isn't Major League Baseball where you trade for future cash considerations. You look at the Chargers and go, okay, draft picks. What would the Chargers give up if they were looking to make a trade? Well, the Chargers have 6 draft picks next year as of right now. Compensatory draft picks aren't awarded till after the season, so the Chargers might end up with more, but right now they only have 6. They have picks in rounds 1 through 6. They do not have a 7th round pick in the 2026 draft right now. And at the same time, what would the Chargers do to give up? Like, what would it take? I think it would take probably at least a 3rd round pick. I know people say he's better than the 3rd round. He is, but he only has 1 year of eligibility remaining on that contract. Unless you're going to sit there and saying we're going to lock him up to a longer deal. At the same time, 30 years old in the NFL is old. Like, would you bring this guy in and say we're going to give you a 5-year deal? That's a lot. That's a lot of years for a guy who's a defensive end in this league. And we're looking at Khalil Mack and going, how many years does a guy like Mack have? Maybe he's played his best year, and we won't see anything close to what he did 2 years ago, and Khalil Mack's just hanging on. But 30 is old in this league. So for the Chargers, you as a fan, would you like to see them pull off a move for Hendrickson, or is it one of those like, you know what, it's never going to happen, I'm not going to think about it?
To me, it's one of those things that it's not going to happen, so I'm not going to think about it. In a dream world, they do. I think there's other teams that might get a little desperate and tossing something out there for Trey. Cincinnati has handled this thing poorly, but they're also in a tough spot. They're a cheap organization that had 3 guys to pay, and out of the 3, one was going to lose, right? One, and we thought, T. Higgins was be the one not at the party and going to be left out.
Yeah.
And now it's looking like Trey Hendrickson is, because Joe Burrow really expressed that he wanted both Higgins and Chase back. He wants Trey back too. But, I think this is an organization that favors the offensive side of the football, even though their defensive side has lost them multiple games this year and is what is holding them back. I don't think he's going to be a Bengal after this year. I think he finishes out the year. Then after that, we'll see. I think he's going to kind of be a goner, and they're going to have to rebuild that, side of the football through the draft. But, Bengals, you saw this coming from a mile away. You missed your window to win a Super Bowl with this group on the cheap dollar. You missed it. You had a run. And then after that, you just decided the first 5 games of the year, we're going to play like a JV football team. Well, guess what? Now it's really backfired on you. And now you have one last year to get it all done. And then after that, you better hope everyone stays healthy because you're paying people a lot. And everyone else that you have is going to have to be on rookie deals. And then after the rookie deal, you're going to go, hey, there's the door. Go play for Baltimore. See you later. Because that's just what's going to happen. That these guys are going to walk out, they're going to go play somewhere else and be studs. And I think Trey's on that trajectory. If Chargers made a move, I'd be happy. I know people are concerned about his pass. Not his pass rush, his run defense.
Run defense, yeah.
But Dave, if you're let's see how many quarterback hits he had this past season. If you're 4th in quarterback hits, Yeah, and 83 total pressures. Hey, I'll live with you being a little sucky on the run if you're putting up those numbers.
I would take him, and look, people are going to freak out when I say this. I would take him over TJ Watt. I would probably take him over Max Crosby or put him in the same category as Max Crosby. And at the
I don't
same
know about
time,
that, but I
I
get
could
what
see
you mean. Yeah.
I could see the Raiders being the team that says, "Hey, looks like a Raider to us." I mean, the Raiders always grab guys when they're old, right? The Raiders
Yeah.
would be that team to do that, at least in the past. Now, I understand it's a different front office, but the Raiders have always been that organization of, "Hey, we'll take the guys that people said couldn't do it anymore." You put him and Crosby on the same team. Now, look, he might stink against the run or not as good against the run as some guys. Look, most of the guys in this league are throwing the ball 75% of the time anyway. You know, the fact that he ruins your passing game is outstanding. For Cincinnati to screw this up, there are certain teams that mess things up all the time. The Browns mess things up all the time. The Jaguars mess things up all the time. The Bengals mess things up all the time. They just can't figure it out. They can't get out of their own way. And at the same time, I'll throw another team at you that don't be surprised when you see where Trey Hendrickson is next year. The New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, defensive coach, Patriots on the upcoming. I could easily see him as a Patriot as well.
That one wouldn't surprise me. Maybe Washington wants to gamble a little bit and take it because they need more help on the pass rush. That one wouldn't. Maybe I don't know. San Francisco's cap situation. I know it's kind of brutal and what they can offer, but like them jumping in that sweepstakes wouldn't surprise me at all either. If they want to get a little fun and dicey with it, people are going to throw around Chicago because Chicago's pass rush. Me and you could probably go out there, put on a helmet, and do it.
Yeah.
I don't see that, that polls has been aggressive. I don't think it's going to be that aggressive, and their money's coming a little short right now on them because of all the money they spent this past offseason. There's teams are going to want the guy. I mean, he's a hell of a freaking football player. But, if I'm Cincinnati, I'm doing whatever I can just to get this situation to go away because this is just bad. This is just bad PR. And it's May 13th, right? Like, if this continues on to next week, the NFL schedule release is going to go away, and this is going to be all people talk about in the NFL world, and that's not what you want.
I'm looking right here. Uber Goober Jack says, "What would you guys do for Hendrickson?" I'd play out this contract and make it clear publicly that I will not. This is my last year with the Bengals. I would just say it over and over again. I'm here to do my job. This is what my contract says. I'm done talking to Cincinnati. This is my last year with the Bengals. And the second that team is eliminated from the playoffs, I pull a hamstring injury and say I'm done. As long as you hit that number that makes you eligible to say, hey, he can go back and be, he's cleared his contract to be a free agent next year. I'm not sitting there leaving it all on the field for this organization who obviously does not care about my well-being, and I've given it everything to them. So without a doubt, I'm doing the minimum, and I'm gonna play my ass off for that next contract on film, and then I'm out. I'm not loyal to that Bengals organization at all if I'm him. That's really his only choice. But I'd be clear as can be. Yeah. Let the entire fan base know the people I work for are a bunch of dirtbags.
I'd do the same thing. I'd say I'm going to do anything I can to win a Super Bowl this year. I'm going to be the best player I can be. But as soon as the season's over, I am no longer a Bengal. And I honestly, what I would do, because I'm this terrible of a guy, I'll tell my agent, you call every AFC North team. I want them twice a year. You know what I mean? You go to Baltimore, and I go, I'm going to beat your ass 2 times a year and let you know why. That's what I would do right away.
You know what would be great is if, we talked just a week ago about guys and their clothes they wear in and out of the stadium, how they're always, filmed walking in. He just wears the NFL logo. He doesn't wear the team issued gear anymore. He just wears NFL logo stuff in and out.
Funny.
Looks like he's a referee, just in and out. And it just has the shield on. Nothing that has Bengals on it, but it's a bad deal, especially when everyone you look at across the locker room has been paid. All the offensive guys have been paid, right? But they don't take care of him. And so, it's interesting. I want to throw this at you. I didn't have it in the rundown, but I have it on my phone. Okay. And you tell me if the Chargers are better or worse than these teams. All right. There are 10 teams I'm going to give you. This is Bucky Brooks. Bucky Brooks listed his top 10 rankings. Okay. And you say if the Chargers are better or worse. You ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, he has the Philadelphia Eagles.
Worse.
Next team, he has the Joey Bosa and the Buffalo Bills.
Worse.
Third team he has from the NFC, he has Washington Commanders.
People are calling me worse.
Okay. Fourth team, Kansas City Chiefs.
Worse.
Okay. Fifth team, Baltimore Ravens.
Worse.
Okay. So right now you agree 100% with Bucky Brooks because Bucky Brooks is the Chargers at number 6. Okay.
As sixth best team in the NFL.
Sixth best team in the entire NFL.
Okay. Let's
Okay.
dive
So
into this a little bit.
so you said they're worse than the top 5 I mentioned, which means what he's saying he's spot on. Okay. At number 7, you say better or worse. He has the Rams at number 7.
Worse.
I would have said worse too right there, just so you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 8, I think this team is ranked way too high. It's the Minnesota Vikings.
Way too high. Holy hell, man. I think they're going to be I think they have a downer year. Well, JJ's going to come in there slinging his dang.
Dude,
Sure.
I'm picking last place in that division for the Vikes.
Yeah.
I am
would too. Yeah.
I'm picking the Packers, Bears, Lions all better than the Vikes in that division.
Yeah.
All right, 9th team. This one doesn't make sense to me. It's the Lions.
That one makes sense to me. Your personnel is still incredible.
Yeah, but and what do you the Lions behind the Vikes?
Oh, I'm sorry.
They're too far back.
I'm still thinking Chargers. Yes, I'd put the Lions ahead of the Vikings in that.
Okay.
And I think they're ahead of the Chargers too.
I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah.
And the 10th team is the Green Bay Packers.
I think I hate Green Bay, so this is a lot of bias baked in. And it's, I'm not going to be pretty upfront about that, but I do think they're better than the Green Bay Packers.
Okay. Yeah, I do too. I think they're better than the Green Bay Packers as well. That's his top 10. So pretty much you don't think he's crazy. You kind of like his list.
I think the Commanders are a little high, to be honest with you.
Would you put the
I
put the Lions ahead of the Commanders or the Rams ahead of the Commanders?
People are gonna. I'll put the Rams in front definitely, and I put the Chiefs in front of them.
I would too. To me, the 2 best teams in the NFC are the Eagles and the Rams right now. My opinion. 3 best teams would be Eagles, Rams, Lions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So his 3 best teams.
I don't disagree.
Here we go. His 3 best teams in the AFC are Bills, Chiefs, Ravens. Chargers he has is the 4th best team in the AFC.
Yeah. The Stunners, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Again, Bengals can flirt with you, but I got to see what Al is going to do to change that defense from Notre Dame. If he can get them turned around and do like a Jesse Minter type of situation, then I think they kind of jump over the Chargers in that. But until then, I'm not going to buy it. What are the Texans going to be this year too? That's another question mark.
I'm looking at Mike G's comment right here. Chargers lost to Love, Stroud, and Mayfield. I know, Mike. I was there. I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you trying to do to me today? Make me cry right here on the show? Look, I think we're a better team. I just think we're a better team, Mike. I think the Chargers are a better team right now than they were a year ago with a new coach, new system. I think they have better personnel. I think everything's going up a notch. I understand the schedule's tougher, but I think they're going up a notch.
Yeah, I think they'll go up a notch as well. I think this past year really confused teams because Texans also made the flashy moves in the offseason. And it's like, is this team going to take the extra leap now and be a premier team? Or are they going to struggle in the AFC South again, which is not a strong division? We shall see. And it's also, if you want to go narrative, Dave, this is a big, big, big year for Herbert to come back. There couldn't be more people dumping on him. I don't think, unless he goes worse, this is one of those years where people look at Justin and go, what the hell are you? Are you with Allen? Are you with the guys that have won the MVPs? Or are you just in this category with, Trevor Lawrence, with Tua? Are you over there? And we just kind of look at you and go, you make really pretty throws, but holy hell, you can't win games.
Yep. All right. And so I'm looking at some of the comments right here. Okay. I'm looking at Chargers front office stood still. I think on the offensive line, they didn't do enough on the offensive line. That's my one negative spot right there. I thought they improved themselves in the draft, though. I honestly think the personnel on this team is better. I do like Najee Harris, and I do like Hampton. I like the running game better this year than last year. I like the options that Herbert has to throw to much better than last year. I think it's a better team. I do. I honestly think it's a better team. I don't think it's me being a homer. I've never been a homer on this show for the Chargers. Chargers straight out, I think, dislike me, which is 100% fine. That's not what it's about. This is the things, the Bolt Crew podcast that Josh, Mario, and I do, and we sit there and talk Charger football. And when this team stinks, we've always told you they stink. I don't think Mario and I are I don't know. I can't speak for you, Mario. I'm 100% not telling people what they want to hear. I'm telling you what I actually believe.
Yeah. Yeah. If I wanted to tell people what they wanted to hear, I'd tell you that Chargers are going to have 10 wins next year and 11 and 12. You know what I mean? I got to be,
Yeah,
instead, I'm going to tell you that they're going to come
shows.
second in the division again. And they're going to split the Broncos. And no Charger fan wants to hear that.
And look, all I know is our tackle situation's outstanding. If we could fix it a little bit in the interior, I don't see honestly what what Harbaugh and Ortiz see, but they believe in that interior offensive line. I haven't seen it for a number of years. We've complained about it on the show more than anything outside of QJ dropping balls. But I think fixing that right there, they fixed the tight end position a little bit, I think, and at the same time, the receiver room is a lot better than it was than last year. I think overall, God willing, health being on our side, I think Herbert's going to have an outstanding year.
Not to mention, Ladd's probably going to be a lot better this year, which is going to be huge. Our receiver room did improve. How much did it improve? Okay, I get what you're saying, but it does look better than it did the previous year. I really do think we have a top 5 running back room in the league. I think Hampton, I think, will be a serious contender for Offensive Rookie of the Year because of that offense and how many times they're going to run that damn football and how explosive he can be. Don't be surprised when Najee Harris reps get really cut because Hampton just has that hot hand. He's just destroying guys. You saw that last year with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Don't be surprised when that happens to Marion Hampton. That guy's going to be a beast. And, if you can run the ball and play good defense, you're going to win a lot of football games.
Yep. All right. You want to get to the super chats?
Let's get to the freaking super chats before, let's get to the super chats. Angie goes, this is just because I appreciate you guys in this pod. Thanks for entertaining us every week. Thank you, Angie.
That's very nice, Angie. Angie's always loyal to the show.
Look, Angie, if you see me in public and you're like, hey, I need a kidney, I'll just take out a blade and there for you.
And then find out it doesn't match.
Yeah. Gushing out blood.
I did not think that through.
Yeah, it's my bad. And then they're like, yeah, this kidney is taking a beating. It's like, all right, dude, let's, come on.
If you think that's bad, you should see my liver.
Yeah, buddy. Let me tell you about the other life choices I've made. AK, it's embarrassing for the NFL. How do you put the Chiefs versus Chargers on neutral site?
So you meant neutral site.
Okay, this is when Josh is really key for the show, amongst other reasons, but especially this right here. This division game in the TO best team in the AFC West.
He means 2.
2, okay.
Dude, if you stop typing in all caps, I swear to God, it will fix a lot of this stuff.
So much better. Yeah. Okay. You don't need all caps, brother. We can read it.
Okay. Look, I don't know. Look, the NFL is trying to sell their brand. Chargers obviously agreed to it. It's a home game for them. I was with a buddy of mine today who's a Charger season ticket holder, and I said, hey, are they charging you for that home game? Because they probably are. They charging you for the preseason games and that game in Brazil? He goes, they probably are. I haven't looked.
I tell you what, though, Harbaugh in Brazil, they're probably going to put a GoPro on him and just follow him around. He's going to have some weird encounters with people. He's going to see like a high schooler playing soccer. He's like, your calves are just.
He starts touching calves.
Yeah. He's like, those are good calves for running routes.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Get this guy away.
That's funny. God dang. Yeah, I don't know. It's a marketing deal. We got ripped off, AK. I wish that was a home game for us. I wish they would have taken a home game away from the Chiefs and given us the 9th home game.
That's all the comments we have. I have
Okay.
before we get into your Dave rant, I have a follow up for you on your last rant.
Okay, go ahead.
You said you hate it. You can't stand it when guys just continue to fail up.
Yes. No,
Nico
no,
Harrison,
I don't like. I don't like. Yeah, when guys fall up, it drives
fall
me
up.
nuts.
I'm sorry,
Like they
fall
have
up.
good luck and they fall up.
Nico Harrison did the biggest fall up in the history of all sports.
Come on, dude. The
The
NFL. I mean,
history.
The NBA is rigged. The NBA is rigged, dude. The Patrick going back to 1985. Patrick Ewing going to the Knicks over the Pacers. Okay, come on. That was one where we always questioned it. Derrick Rose from Chicago just happens to go to the Bulls. LeBron from Ohio just happens to go to the Cavs. You know, all of a sudden the Pelicans, they lose Anthony Davis. All of a sudden they end up with the first overall pick, get Zion. Right? We've seen this forever. The Cavs lose LeBron. All of a sudden they get the number one pick. The Mavs lose Luka. They get there's a 1.8% chance they were going to get the number one pick. Look, this is the one though, Mario. I will tell you, and we're going to talk about two different sports in this show. I 100% love what the NBA did right here by giving
Same.
Cooper Flag.
Same.
And the reason I say that is the Mavs owners have effed over this fan base, and so some Charger fans that are in this thing that think that Dean Spanos has effed over the fan base here with the Chargers as well. The Mavs owners, after Mark Cuban sold the team, their number one goal has been to move this team to Las Vegas. And they're trying to prove there's not a following. And one of the reasons Luka isn't there is because they were trying to create dissension and cancel season tickets and everything else to make it easier for that move to Vegas. And we've seen the Oakland A's do it. And we've seen, you know, the Raiders need a new home and they're in Vegas and everybody wants to be in Vegas if you're a pro team. The Mavs have not hidden the fact that they're trying to get to Vegas. By getting Cooper Flag in the number one pick, season ticket holders are going to jump right in. They're going to get, you know, Kyrie, you're going to have Clay, you're going to have Anthony Davis, and you're going to have Cooper Flag. The Mavs aren't going anywhere. This was the NBA making the Maverick owners saying, you are stuck, and we will decide the team that ends up in Vegas. And it should be, I'll speak on behalf of the NBA right now, it should be New Orleans should now be in Vegas. They should never put another NBA team in New Orleans. It never works. And they should take the Grizzlies out of Memphis. Really,
No. You take Orlando.
Okay. I don't know where Orlando is supporting their fan base. All I know is the Grizzlies being in Memphis is a huge mistake. Memphis is a rat hole of a town. Its crime is through the roof. You ever look at that picture? Those show the arena, and then they show down. You're looking live at downtown Memphis. It's a rat hole. It's ridiculous with a ton of crime. I don't know how they don't move that team 3.5 hours towards Nashville and put them in Nashville. That's where the money is. There's no money in Memphis.
No, but Memphis loves their basketball. That's one thing I'll push back is they sell out, man. They have a fan base.
That whole franchise is jinxed. And nobody wants to play in Oklahoma City, by the way. That was a dumb idea. Taking them out of Seattle was ridiculous too.
You know what?
No one's
gonna
up chicks in Oklahoma City.
Don't make me get small market Mario out right now.
Dude,
you're pushing it to a winner right now.
Oklahoma City's dude, I've driven cross country twice. Hey, Oklahoma is the worst state I've ever been to. Not even close.
You're flirting with the Midwest line, so you watch your step, brother.
Okay. No, sorry.
No, first off, I know people are like, I hate the lottery, can't stand it, the classic NBA. I'm gonna be really honest. I love the NBA lottery more than anything. I love the chaos of it. I love that for the third year in a row, the team with the worst record is picking at 5. That's amazing. Since 2019, no team with the worst record in the NBA has gotten the first pick. I freaking love that. The chaos of it all, I think it's great. It's what makes the NBA the NBA. It's what, it makes you think that Vince McMahon's sitting back there writing some scripts and making sure some teams, get what they need to be back on the market. I'm a huge fan of it. Cooper Flag going to Dallas, to me, it's very, very funny. I wish it was the Bulls. I thought at some point they're going to give the Bulls their shot and go, okay, you need your star. We need to up, this Bulls market over here. But no, I'm a huge fan of it. And keep Memphis in Memphis. That's a great town. And keep Oklahoma City.
Not a great town. It's awful.
But okay, but here's what I'll say. Memphis crowds and like the OKC crowds are fantastic. Like they draw in a great crowd. That's why I said Magic, because Magic, the games are dead. And you go in there and you're going to Disney World. And the reason why you're at a Magic game is because you probably got too drunk and your wife kicked you out of Disney World. So you got to do something with the fellas. So you go, let's just go to the Magic game. It's $10 or it's like $5 beer night. And that's where you end up going.
You know what
That's
it is?
why
Nobody was ever born in Orlando. Like everybody who lives in Orlando moved to Orlando. No one was ever born there.
Yeah, exactly. And
You
they're
know,
probably they're probably
yeah, I'm
playing
a Magic
Cinderella.
fan because they're here, but as soon as my team actually comes to face the Magic, I'm rooting for my old team again. That's why they're in that situation. Nobody was born there. What's the line Seinfeld? He said the best thing about Florida, there's always somebody there older than you. That's
Yeah,
basically it.
that is true. It is one of those weird states where everyone I know that was born there has moved, but everyone that I know that lives there, that was like their desire to like get, you know what I mean? Like that's like, I have to move to Florida.
That's California. California's like that. You know, that's why so many people are Cleveland fans and Chicago fans. There are a ton of Cubs fans in Los Angeles and San Diego. Same thing. You know, Cleveland fans, you see it all the time. You know, people that grew up with their team that they just got tired of freezing their asses off. You know, couldn't wait to get to
California. They're like, why? It is kind of, my mom always has this quote, and it's the one thing I'll, shout out to Lisa for it. But she always goes, every time it's cold in Indiana, she goes, just what were our ancestors thinking living here? I mean, just God damn it. It just, it's so cold.
See,
okay. Like, yeah.
All right. It's funny to say that. I get this dumb theory. All right. I don't think it's that dumb. My theory is people who live in Arizona are the laziest people in the world. Okay. And the reason I say that is when you think about the phrase "go west, young man," and people say, "I'm going west, I'm going to get and discover gold," and the whole deal. The people that went through all the hell, there's no roads and you're going through it and you're horse and buggy, and I'm sure family members were dying and you're freezing and you're getting disease and everything else. And when you got to Arizona, you finally just went, I'm exhausted. It's flat. It's warm. We're just going to stop right here. But if you would have just pulled it together a little bit longer, you could have made it to the Pacific Ocean, and your property would be worth a ridiculous amount of money, and you would have found gold in the gold rush, the whole deal. You could have been completely loaded, but your lazy asses stopped in Arizona because it was convenient. And that's the way I always look at people in Arizona. You guys are too damn lazy to go the extra mile. That's kind of the way it goes. If you would have kept going, it could have been a Malibu. Could have been a Malibu, and those houses are worth a ton.
I mean, I'm telling you this right now. My ancestors probably did a pit stop in Arizona and just go, let's just rob people. We're just going to rob these freaking idiots trying to make it to Cali.
All right. Want me to go my rant real quick? I had a whole different rant ready to go. But it started right when the show started. In case you guys aren't aware, Major League Baseball removed Pete Rose from their permanently ineligible list today. Okay. You're going to hear about it more. Same with Shoeless Joe. By the way, I don't think Shoeless Joe should have been suspended for life. The guy was illiterate. He didn't know what the hell he was signing. He didn't know anything. Guy signed his name with an X. Shoeless Joe, I didn't know anything about Shoeless Joe outside the fact he was dumb as a rock and was a good baseball player and he got tricked. Pete Rose, I actually did know as a person. I knew Pete for a number of years, and I knew people who knew Pete for a number of years. I knew Pete's former teammates. I used to do shows with Pete. There was a period of time where I did 3 straight days with hanging out with Pete Rose, okay? Pete's a bad guy, okay? Pete is a bad dude, and I'm not saying it because Pete's dead and go, how dare you say something about someone who passed away. I said bad things about Pete for the last 20 years, okay? One thing is I love sports. If you listen to the show, you love sports. At least you love the NFL. The one thing about sports that makes sports worth watching is knowing that the game is not fixed. And that is the most important thing in all sports, is knowing the outcome hasn't been determined before the game has been played. And if you walk into a Major League Baseball locker room, there's a huge sign on the door that talks about how you do not gamble and you do not place wagers on games. And people who want to say Pete only bet on his team, get your head out of the sand. Okay. I kept it clean, Mario. Okay. Get your head out of the sand. You are out of your mind if you think Pete only bet for his team to win. Pete would write on the inside of his cap all of his bets. He would take his hat off, look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Not only was he betting on other games, he was betting on his own team. And when he was the manager of the Reds, he was betting on his own team. He was setting lineups up that didn't make sense. Pete never finished in first place as manager of the Reds. Matter of fact, as a Dodger fan, I remember a game where Pete pitched a backup catcher against the Astros on the second to last game of the season, completely rigged the game. And this is how it works because Mario's family maybe or maybe not had connections to organized crime. Okay.
Maybe not. Can't confirm nor deny.
And when you lose a bet, Eventually, you're going to have to pay up on that bet. And the easiest way to pay up on that bet is to guarantee a loss. To go, you know what, Pete, you've lost 4 times this week. You're up to about $350,000. We're going to pay the money. Or you're going to give us a hint on how it's going to go. And the rumor is Pete consistently organized games, okay, where he determined the outcome as a manager, okay, as a player and as a manager. Pete's teammates have told me he used to keep $300,000 in his freezer as a player that he called his cold cash, okay, in case he needed to pay off somebody fast. So for you to sit there and say Pete was innocent and Pete was all about, hey, he loved the game so much he only bet on himself, get your head out of the sand. You couldn't have been more wrong. Okay. This guy was bad for a sport that I love. If it was an NFL player, I'd say the same thing. If it was an NBA guy, I would say the same thing. But to put this guy on a pedestal is absolutely ridiculous. And it's always been all about Pete, because at the Cooperstown inductions, what did Pete do? He set up a booth down the street knowing he was going to get more publicity than the guys that actually played the game clean, that went in the Hall of Fame. And he would take away their moment. And they'd be down the street and Pete would sign material for him. So I'll give you a crazy story, Mario, okay? So for 3 days, Pete and I and a guy I do a show with are hanging out at an autograph shop. And there's a line, down the street for Pete to sign jerseys, pictures, whatever. Pete's charging $75 a signature, okay? If it's a jersey, it's like $250 a signature. And so we're doing the show and we're trying to bring traffic in for Pete. We're willing to do it because we're getting paid by the store. Plus, we're hanging out with Pete Rose. Finally, the line dies down. It's just Pete, me, and my buddy. And I said, hey, Pete, can I get you to sign this picture? It's a picture of Pete Rose and Steve Garvey. Okay, Steve Garvey is my favorite player growing up. I have the picture hanging up in my office right now. And he signs it, Pete Rose, hit king, the whole deal. And he goes, that's $75, Dave. And I went, $75? Like, you have made like 50 grand or whatever the hell the number is being here. But I'm like, all right. And so he says to my buddy, Jeff, you want me to write this straight to you, Jeff? And he goes, yeah, Pete, write it straight to Jeff. And he writes it to Jeff and he signs it. He goes, what about you, Dave? I go, nope. Just put Pete Rose hit king, because the day you die, I'll be on eBay selling this thing, Pete, son of a bitch. I was so pissed off that he charged me. I couldn't tell you. Okay. And then at the same time, it's Sean Salisbury, former quarterback, now a broadcaster, former ESPN guy. He walks in and he knows Pete and goes, Pete and I are good friends. Pete and Sean have been hanging out for years on airplanes and known each other for forever. I mean, they're really close. And Sean asked him for an autograph. He goes, that's $75, Sean. He charged Sean too. And that's his buddy. That'd be like me charging you, Mario.
That's insane.
Nobody watching. It's not like, hey, you have to do this for the act. No, dude, $75. I'm going to charge you. Pete has always been a bad guy from top to bottom. If you watch that thing they did on HBO a year ago about how on Joe Morgan Day, he took the spotlight. He's just always been about Pete. Pete's always been about Pete. Bad dude. And if he ends up getting in the Hall of Fame and getting everything his family wants, I couldn't be more disappointed. Sorry. Don't meet your heroes.
Yeah. I mean, I always just knew the argument of if he should be on the Hall of Fame was like a good summer topic for like sports radio. It's just like, hey, play the hits. Should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame?
Evergreen.
Yeah, it's evergreen. And there's arguments for you can, whatever side you favor. Well, I just hit myself on the mic and it scared me a little bit. Whichever side you want to kind of lean on that, you can. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy Shoeless Joe kind of got off the ban list, because when you ever see the movie, it was 8 Men Out.
Yes, I have.
I mean, from the stories too of what's been documented, it really did seem like Shoeless Joe was just put in a tough spot. At least in the movie, they made it seem like that, and from the stories, it did. So I'm happy that that his legacy, if you will, is kind of getting fixed up from that. But yeah,
no, Shoeless Joe and Field of Dreams and everything else there. I just think Shoeless Joe was uneducated and was taken advantage of. Someone wrote Uber Goober jackass. That your name kills me. Was Pete a good player? Pete was a great player. Actually, one thing I love about Pete the most is that he loved the game. And I always say, I'm a baseball coach, is that you never want to have to coach effort. Yep. And so the idea that Pete was a guy you never had to worry about effort, absolutely a fan of. I love the way he played the game. I wish he was clean. I wish I could sit there and bring his name up a million times to young guys that I coach all the time. Look at Pete Rose. But I never say that about Pete. because I think Pete's dirty. I think it's terrible for the game, because once the game is basically predetermined, there's no point. The game won't exist anymore. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know
What
what
a
to
good
say, man.
show.
Sorry about that.
Tatum, by the way.
Tatum Achilles tear official.
Yep. He's done.
Yeah, that's funny because I'm not a doctor, but I used to watch ER in General Hospital, and I figured it out in the first 3 seconds. We all know what it looks like. I don't know what the hell took so goddamn long. Like, we all knew what happened here. Here's the funny thing is, and look, I like Tatum. I hate the Boston Celtics more than any organization in all the sports, but I'm a Tatum fan. You know, I'm a big Kobe fan. Tatum loved Kobe. Remember when Kobe blew out his Achilles? Went to the free throw line, went to the free throw line afterwards, knocked down 2, and then left. You know, leaving a goddamn wheelchair, crying like a little baby. You aren't Kobe. Those shirts that they had at Madison Square Garden saying you aren't Kobe could have been more accurate. Paul Pierce is like, this is embarrassing. Yeah, it sucks. Achilles tendon means you're out for at least a year. It won't be back till the 27 season, basically.
I'm curious to see what happens in that series. Yeah, he won't be back for a while. Plus, Boston's going to have to do a major shake-up with their roster this offseason. All I know, Dave, is I do not want the Knicks in the NBA Finals. I do not. And I think Pacers.
I would love to see Pacers OKC, just as a remembering that the NBA is all about the Lakers and ratings will be in the toilet. But if you're a basketball fan, you'll like that series.
Oh my God! As I was literally about to say, basketball fan matchup wise, that is beautiful. Like, they match up perfectly against each other. Now, will that happen? Absolutely not, because the NBA is the NBA. But I do think, I think the Pacers can take out the Knicks, and they need that rivalry back. The NBA loves this, right? People can say, you can say whatever you want about small market teams, and I get it. But if for people that haven't been to Indiana, or if you have, like, Texas, the way Texas loves football is the way Indiana loves their basketball. So if they're in the finals, man, I promise you it's going to put up some big numbers. And there's going to be some mobs from Carmel, Indiana that are going to get under some players' skins.
You know, I'm rooting for the Pacers. They've never won an NBA championship. I'd be rooting for the Pacers in that situation.
I'm rooting hard. I really want them. Yeah. I have a future on the Thunder because I always thought Thunder could do it. So I'm rooting hard for the Thunder right now.
Tell your parents who are Pacers season ticket holders. I'm rooting for the Thunder because I had a futures bet.
Dude, what the funniest is. I was talking to my parents, and this just speaks to the type of people my parents are, right? I called my dad, just catching up with them, talking about life stuff. I go, hey, there's a big game tonight. Are you guys going? And he goes, it's our granddaughter's cheer competition. She's in kindergarten. Can't make it. And I go, Dad, what the hell did you just say? He goes, yeah, just sold him off, gave it to our friend. Oh, and I go, Dad, I think she can be fine if you just didn't go one time. I think she'll understand. And it cracked me up. And my dad's like, yeah, we'll go to the next one.
The next one, like they're there all the time? You'll be there for the next banner ceremony? Okay, Dad.
And I could hear my mom, well, I just want to see our granddaughter. And I go, no, what's wrong with that? But she does great flips. And I'm going, I bet the flips are spectacular. I can't imagine what a cartwheel looks like. I bet it's jaw dropping. But also Tyrese Halliburton.
It's pretty fun to see her in the Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really disappointed in your parents. I can't tell you.
I couldn't believe it. And when I was home, my brother goes, do you want to come to one of her cheer competitions? And I go, I love your daughter like my own. Yeah. But don't call me. Don't invite me. Don't even bring it up to me until she's in the Olympics or state. Then I'll be there. Yeah. And I'll be loudest guy.
Until then, I'd rather put an ice pick in my temple. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Until then, I am all set. You can show me the highlights of it. Yeah. It's all good.
Dude, I'm with you. All right, here I got something embarrassing to tell you. This maybe make you laugh. Yesterday we're playing a high school baseball game. We're losing 4-0. We're in the last inning. We're rallying back. Okay, we're down 4-3, 2 outs, last inning, and I have bases loaded on my team. I coach third base. Okay, do you understand? So the winning run's on second base. So the ball's hit to left center. It drops. First guy from third scores. Second guy from second base scores. Okay. That's technically the winning run, but for some reason I couldn't do the math in my head. So the guy who was on first base makes it to third and he stops running. And the guy in the outfield just holds the ball. And I'm yelling, run, run, not thinking that we already won the game. The kid literally turns to me and goes, Coach, we already won the effing game. He didn't say effing. He's like, can't you count, stupid? And I'm like, he's right. I was like, it was super embarrassing that he's sitting there he took like 2 big steps, like he was going to make a run for it. And then he's like, Coach, we already won the effing game. I was like, man, we did. Yeah, it's so stupid, man. I've been thinking about it for almost 24 hours going, I have no business being around high school kids that I can't count to 3. Like, what the hell? Jesus.
Dude, that reminds me when I was in high school. I was playing basketball. There was this old coach.
I know I was in a group chat. That's even worse. Yeah, go ahead.
That hated me. Like, couldn't stand the sight of me. And I'm taking the ball out of bounds. And we always ran Utah, which is a play you only ran coming up the floor. You never ran it out of bounds. It wasn't an out of bounds play. But I'm taking it out. And I look over for the coach for the call. And he goes, Utah. And he's screaming Utah. And I go, hey, that's not an out of bounds play. And he just so loudly yells, figure it the fuck out. And I just go, I'm just sitting there going, all right, I guess Utah. And I slapped the ball, and then it was like a turnover. The play didn't work. I got pulled. I didn't play for the rest of the game. And he goes, you think you're smarter than me? I go,
I am.
I don't know what you want me to do there.
No, 100%. Yes.
My friends still, every time I'm home, my friends bring it up. They're like, do you remember when Coach McCall told you? No, it wasn't McCall. I can't remember his name. I was like, Coach is something at H. Because do you remember when he told you to run Utah? And I was like, I still will never just be like, all right, well, that's just yeah.
Dude, that happened to me in high school too. I used to rebound the ball with one hand, like the Lakers did, just back in the day. One hand and just throw it up the court. And the coach was like old Indiana style, box out, 2 hands, turn, pivot, and then throw your outlet. And man, I just grab it and start the fast break. And he lost his mind and he cussed me out. Then he just left the practice. And all of us didn't know what to do. Like, were we allowed to leave or not leave? And we stayed for 2 hours just looking at each other. And then he came back and threatened to kill me in front of everybody. And we finished practice. Yeah. He was so mad. He had to walk out himself. He couldn't take it anymore. Couldn't take it.
Yeah. We used to have a coach in college that he was dumber than a box of rocks. And we had Green that was out of his zone. And he kept yelling red instead of green. And I'm standing next to our team captain, and he just looked at he just screamed at our coach, "Stop being a dumbass!" That's what he yelled. And it was she was just screaming red. And we're like, what's red? We're like, you were thinking he means green. Was this Christmas colors? Jesus Christ!
Stop being a dumbass. I don't feel so bad about yesterday now.
Yeah, all right, there you go.
We'll be back on Thursday, 1:00. Josh will be back. Again, schedule will come out. This will basically be a schedule show. Probably a lot of stuff we're excited about, but we're going to complain a lot because that's just what everybody does when the schedule comes out. So we'll have a full breakdown of what's happening. It's funny. I will be excited about the schedule, but we've been looking forward to it, just like the other 31 teams are excited about the schedule release. But Josh will be back, talking about the NFL schedule, how this sets up for the Chargers. We'll see if maybe we make our predictions or not off the first schedule release. But again, thank you for joining us again in the middle of the day. We'll see you 1:00 on Thursday. For Mario Heron, I'm Dave Palais. Again, subscribe, like the show. If you hung around today, AK, I see you made a little bit of an attempt to go back to lowercase letters. We appreciate it. You don't need to yell at us about everything. We like you, AK. You don't need to scream at us. We'll see you though in 47 hours, everybody. Take care.